Hey, people, listen. It is, what is it, Wednesday night? It's trending topics. We got stuff to talk about. I came on a little early because some of my news clippings are a little bit longer in length. And I think we should hear the full length so we can have a discussion about the story. So I appreciate y'all coming through. I appreciate y'all being here. And y'all know the routine. Hit the like button, okay? Hit the like button. So thank you guys for being here. Much appreciated. Before I do go into tonight's show, I want to do a public service announcement, okay? Public service announcement. And my public service announcement is this. You know, last night, many of you might not have seen because it happened in the blink of an eye, right? Because I was debating on if I should bring this person up. You know, most of the people, my link is out there for anybody to click on if y'all want to come up here, join us, and have the conversation and discuss, you know, the topic with us, right? So my link is just freely out there. But for the most part, y'all see for yourselves that the same, you know, people come up and speak, right? I call them my regulars, right? The regular passengers come up and speak. But every now and then I get somebody different. Usually when I get someone different and I don't recognize the name, I ask the person backstage, because y'all don't see them yet. I say, show me your face. You can put your avatar back up, but you got to show me your face before I bring you up, because I never seen you before. I don't know who you are. I got to make sure, I got to protect my channel, right? But for whatever reason, last night, I just, my guard was down. I was like, whatever. You know, I saw the avatar. I was like, I'll let the person up. No big deal. I let the person up. It was a big deal. It was a hot, stinking, nasty mess. So I think there was at least, I know one of my subs did see it because they was like, oh my. And I was like, oh my God. The person removed their avatar, and behind their avatar, they literally had no clothes on. It was a male. And the male was pleasuring himself, right? And so I was just like, God. And I hurried up and clicked and removed the person. After the live, I made the video private, and then I had to wait, 24 hours, and then I edited that piece out and I put the video back up. So from, this moment moving forward, anybody new that comes back here, of course, I'm going to say, show me your face. So just in case, y'all know, and I don't recognize the name, I got to say, show me your face, and then you can put your avatar back, because I got to make sure that, I don't have those situations. The world is perverted. It's so sad what's going on in the world right now. It's so much perversion. It's so much exposure to sex, drugs, alcohol. It's just a sad state that we're in right now. And unfortunately, there are some people that are using this platform that are very perverted. And so that happened. That person caught me out there last night. They caught me slipping. They caught me with my pants down, but it won't ever happen again. Yeah, Miss Wilson, I know, but it's so sad and it's so disturbing. And I'm just trying to figure out, what do these people really get out of this? Like, what are you getting out of this? Like, it's just crazy to me. So anyway, guys, we're going to get into tonight's story. Okay, it's Wednesday night. It's trending topics, and the title's called "What Happened." What happened? This is Trey Reed, and I've been following this story for a minute now. Very disturbing, very sad. And some stories, when I see them, I'm like, I gotta wait to do that story, because I gotta get my mind, my spirit, and my body right to talk about it. Let me just make sure I get the college right. I want to say the college is in Mississippi, and he was found not alive. Mississippi College, right? What is it? Delta State University. He was found not alive. He was found hanging from a tree. When the family was first called, they claimed they found him in his dorm unalived. Later on, they said they found him hanging from a tree. They're saying there's no foul play. They're saying, he did it to himself. And please watch the words in the chat. But the family is calling bogus on the whole situation. This is the second. He was a second young man was found as well, Miss Wilson. I didn't even hear about that. It's just sad. It's just very sad. And the story just, something is amiss with this story. Doesn't sound right, doesn't smell right. And that's why the title was like, what happened? They did a press conference. The president of the university is acting like he's so sad. Listen, and they say 50% of that, so 50% of that school is Black. Let me tell you one thing about the diva right here. If my kid was going to that school, and I don't care if my kid loved the school, I would be pulling out. With all those Black people that are going to that school, they need to do the Target situation and pull out of that school. They said the racial undertones at that school is historic, how long this been going on. Stuff like this. So if you paying, get your money back, leave. And if you're from Mississippi, go to some other school. If you not, go back to your home state and find a school there. Because at the end of the day, I don't care if you go to the community college, Ivy League college, it is what it is. Get the education, but get out of that school. But we're going to talk about it. The next one is what happened. This singer, David. I did not hear about him before this. But don't go by me because I still listen to old school music. I'm not too much into the new stuff. You know, my son introduced me to something. I'm like, oh, okay, that sounds cool. I like it. And I may listen to it. But I revert back to old school. So this singer, this artist, David, his car is missing. It was abandoned on the side of the road somewhere. Then the people called and it was taken to the impound. And they was smelling something. So they look in the car and it's a body parts, a decomposed body. Ends up that it's a young girl, 15, 13, 14, that was missing since last April. The mother said, that's my daughter. On top of the mother saying, that's my daughter, the mother said she had a tattoo on her finger that says, shh. If we add more to the story, the mother says she had a boyfriend named David that the mother happened to never see. She never laid eyes on David, but she knew the girl had a boyfriend named David. So listen, and they said the singer is cooperating with the police. He was on tour. He was continuing his tour, but he recently didn't do the last 2 dates or date or one of them. He canceled one of them or whatever. But let's have a conversation here. You in this body that is in your car, you have the same tattoo on the same finger that says shh. She had a boyfriend named David. Your name is David. And she's in your car, decomposed, body chopped up. Something in the water ain't clean. He's 20. She at best was 13 when it happened. That's problematic right there. I think I have a feeling which way this thing is going to go. But we have to wait till we get more details. Time will tell. Then the last story we got is in a nursing home. A 95-year-old woman unalives her 85-year-old roommate. Let me say that one more time in case you missed what I said. A 95-year-old in the nursing home unalives her 85-year-old roommate. They said the pedals off the wheelchair were missing, were taken off. The roommates in the bed, blood everywhere, gashes in her head. The 95-year-old in the bathroom, blood all over her gown, washing her hands. And I said to myself, they in a nursing home. Not a nurse, not a tech, not a doctor, nobody, the cleaning people, nobody heard the roommate screaming. Nobody. Now the cops arrested the 95-year-old. And I said, how do you wheel the 95-year-old from the nursing home? You come handcuff her and you wheeling her in the court for these charges. Why isn't anybody in that nursing home being charged with something, neglect or something? Because how did this go down? How did she beat this woman to death and nobody heard nothing, saw nothing? What happened? That's tonight's title. Listen, people, y'all know what time it is because I'm about to bring the people in the building. What do I need in the chat? I need a choo-choo. All aboard, everybody. It is Wednesday night trending topics, and we got stuff to talk about. The title's called What Happened? We got Trey Reed down at the college, went to study. Now he's gone. We got this David, this singer. Your Tesla is missing. You don't report it missing. It's found on the side of the road. It's crazy. But let me tell you what they said about them Teslas. They said them Teslas got cameras in it. They about to find out what happened. And the 95-year-old. Let me bring the people on in the building, y'all. Hey, Wayne.
Hey, Diva.
Hey, Julius.
Hey, y'all. Hit the like button and remember, be appropriate in the chat. And please, when you come up here, please be appropriate.
Thank you. Hey, Katrina.
Hey, Diva. Hey, Love. Hey, Wayne. Hey, Julius. Hey, panel. Hey, chat.
Hey, y'all.
Okay, y'all, I think I'm going to start with this because it's one of my longest stories. Let's start with this Trey Reed story. It's very sad. I'm going to show once they too good to leave you now. Once they unlock the data from that Tesla, it's all over. He rented his car. Are you saying he rented his car out? And I know he's working with authorities. Yeah, I know he's still free. We'll see. Thank you for that info. I appreciate you. All right, so let me share screen. I'm trying to see. Okay, let's see this one. Okay, hold on 1 second. Give it a minute and they're going to start the press conference. Hit the like button.
Good morning. My name is Dan Ennis, and I'm the president of Delta State University. Thank you for being here this morning. Loss of Trey Reed has been and continues to be devastating for the Delta State community. I want to begin by acknowledging that the manner how Trey was discovered has stirred many emotions in this community and many emotions around the state and the nation. While the preliminary report of the Bolivar County Coroner's Office indicates no evidence of foul play, we recognize that this is not only about facts. It's about emotions and it's about feelings, and the way this loss and how it was discovered affects people's lives. And I'll further say that I admit that I am not adequate to speak to the imagery that this incident raises. I acknowledge my weakness in that regard. A second point I'd like to make before I turn it over to law enforcement is that the university and I personally have been in regular, frequent contact with next of kin. And I'll say, for those of you who are not used to how universities work, I'll take a moment to explain. When a student comes to this university, or almost any university in America, they fill out a contact form. This applies to Trey Reed and applies to every other student at Delta State. The student chooses who to indicate is their personal contact. The student tells us their next of kin. And from the moment we discovered this, and from the moment law enforcement was engaged, 7:30 in the morning on Monday, this university has been in regular, frequent contact with the next of kin. Now we'll go ahead and acknowledge that the student always chooses their next of kin. Trey Reed gave us 2 names and the contact information for the people he wanted to be contacted in the event of an emergency. And we have maintained contact with those 2 people. And I know this may seem like some kind of legalistic distinction, but this is how we have to operate. This was a choice made by the student, and a choice made by the student has to be respected even when the student's no longer with us. And I also acknowledge that there is a distinction between next of kin and family. And I acknowledge that both next of kin and family are grieving. But from the point of view of doing this correctly and right, and respecting the students' wishes, the university has been and will continue to be in direct contact with Trey's chosen names. And those individuals, they can choose to do what they will with the information and the communication we give them. So I ask everyone to please be respectful in the sense that this was a choice the student made, and the university is respecting his choice. He told us who he wanted us to talk to in the event of an emergency, and that's what we continue to do. And I can go ahead and say that I recognize that there is family, and some family are not the names that Trey gave us. I'm so sorry. We are sharing all the information we can, and we will continue to work through the people that this student chose when he put his name on that form and he said, who do you want the university to contact in the event of emergency? And that's the kind of protocol that almost every university in America would follow. And if we do not follow that protocol, I don't think we're being respectful to the choice the student made. In other matters, I'll go ahead and say that the university continues to completely cooperate with multiple law enforcement agencies represented behind me, and that in every request regarding information, regarding evidence, regarding anything connected with this incident, we have been fully forthcoming and will continue to be so. And lastly, I want to say that we have to think about our losses and we have to think about our current students. So we are simultaneously grieving, we are simultaneously processing, and I think every minute about Trey. But I also have to think about my 2,800 other students and protect them as well. In that regard, we have been very grateful that we have had increased law enforcement presence on this campus. And unfortunately, that's because this campus has received threats. And my message to that regard would be, we have students here. They came here to get an education. And folks who threaten the institution are hurting students. And we don't want that. We are supposed to be a place where students come to feel safe and to learn. That's our mission, and that's what we'll continue to do. With that, I will turn this over to Chief Peeler, who will address the investigation. Thank you.
Good morning. Delta State University Police continues to mourn the tragic loss of Trey Reed. Our hearts remain with his family, friends, and all are affected during this deeply painful time. Following the discovery of the deceased on the campus on Monday morning, and the release of Bolivar County Coroner's official statement, his body has been transported to the Mississippi State Medical Examiner's office. The Chief Medical Examiner began conducting a full autopsy this morning. Preliminary results are expected to be available within the next 24 to 48 hours. This joint investigation remains active, and the Delta State University Police is in full cooperation with all agencies involved. This is an isolated incident. Due to the support of the state and local law enforcement and the increased law enforcement presence here at Delta State, there are currently no active threats to the campus, and the university remains a safe environment for its students, faculty, and staff. Delta State Police, in conjunction with the Mississippi Bureau of Investigation, Bolivar County Sheriff's Office, and Cleveland Police Department, plans to provide another update once preliminary findings are released and the university officials have met privately with the next of kin. Out of respect for those grieving, we ask for continued patience and compassion as this investigation proceeds. Again, we extend our deepest condolences to those impacted by this tragedy. Support services remain available for anyone in need of assistance. And again, this deeply saddens us. He's one of ours. And so our hearts go out. We mourn as well. At this time, are there any questions?
Chief, Martin Staunton, Fox 13 News in Memphis. First question that comes out is, how was the statement foul play has been ruled out so soon? You just said a preliminary coroner's report hasn't even been released.
Thank you for your question. Again, the statement was initially, at this point, we didn't believe or have evidence of foul play.
Chief Ross Adams, 16 WAPT of Jackson. You talk about, again, the initial report about no foul play. Did you personally put your eyes on the student's body, and how can you make a determination by making a physical observation without having any knowledge about what happened to that person's body?
Well, with the combined effort of Delta State Police, Cleveland PD, Bolivar County Sheriff's Office, yes, did we lay eyes on the student? I did. I was there. I'm one of the first on scene. And then again, it's an ongoing investigation. And
But when you're asking my question, and you're including all these different agencies, I'm asking about you, the head of the office.
again, I was there. I was the second officer from my department on the scene.
Yesterday, Trey's grandfather said that the first call he received, the officer told him that Trey was found in his room. But then the next call he received, and I'm quoting him, they said he hung himself. Can you explain that discrepancy?
Yeah, I don't have any knowledge of any calls that the grandfather received. I know I did speak to the grandfather or the next of kin, and outside of that, I can't answer what calls he received and who he received them from.
Chief, do any videos exist? There have been reports of alleged videos?
There are videos, and they're in the hands of the investigative team. Right now, Cleveland PD is leading the investigation. This is our investigation, but they're leading in the investigation.
So there was surveillance video that captured what happened to Trey on campus at the time of his death.
I can't speak at that at this moment. Again, there is video, but it's still, the investigation is ongoing.
Is there surveillance video that would have captured what happened in that area where his body was found and took phone calls?
Again, there's video out there, and we can't speak to that at this point. It's still an ongoing investigation. Yes.
Can you talk about the threats that were made to campus that university president alluded to?
Just the fact that, again, emotions are arising, people are calling, and I don't have a specific threat yet, but again, the threats may be phone calls that staff and students are receiving, but specific threats, I don't have those at this time.
President Ennis, I'm sorry, to address those specific threats that you talked about, increased law enforcement, and can you tell us the nature of the threats that have been?
So we will defer to law enforcement regarding whether these threats are credible. Right now, the law enforcement behind me and those joining with Delta State have declared the campus remains safe. I don't need to point you all to people on social media saying things about this campus, some of which sound threatening. We hope that they would stop entirely. Law enforcement will determine if anybody is really a credible threat to the campus. They can run down names. They can figure out if someone is simply being a troll online or whether there's somebody who might actually take action. At this point, we don't have any credible threats that I'm aware of, and law enforcement will let me know. But that doesn't mean it doesn't hurt when someone calls the office and says that this is a terrible place and that, you know, people should be hurt. And I hope that that's just empty threats, but offices, phones are ringing. And unfortunately, and I'll go ahead and say this, like many universities, our phones are manned mostly by student workers. So can you imagine a student worker, 19-year-old sophomore who's got a part-time job answering an office phone, a totally normal thing on a college campus, picks up the phone and someone uses profanity and says something that implies violence. So we have had to change our whole protocol regarding answering the phone, and the same for online posts. And looking downstream free speech, people can of course get online and say what they want, and protecting our students and staff. So I reiterate what the chief said. Our law enforcement experts are following every lead, and they're analyzing every post and every phone call to see if there's a credible threat.
Sir, Martin Stahl, Fox 13 Memphis. In the current climate, in the dismantling of DEI programs across the country on college and university campuses, how would you describe the state of race relations here at Delta State in the student body?
One of the things I love about Delta State is that it's what America should be. I've got 40% African-American students, and they eat and play and work and learn beside white people. And yeah, there's always tensions on every college campus. There's always disagreements. I was in the gym the other night playing pickup basketball. I know it's hard to imagine me, and the pickup basketball just happened to be 3 white guys, one of which was me, and 3 black guys. And that was not remarkable. That was not unusual on this campus. I'm not saying this is heaven, but I'm saying I can walk into my cafeteria right now and see black people and white people eating together. I walk into my classroom on Tuesday morning, and I didn't count heads, but my classroom looked like America. And so I can't speak to the hearts of how individual students are reacting to this. I can say that my heartbreak is comprehensive, not just for Trey, although it is primarily for Trey, but for the fact that the rest of the world has an impression of Delta State that is so at odds with what I know to be this institution. This institution should not be associated with hate or hate crimes. If people knew this place, they look at it and say, wouldn't it be better if America was more like Delta State University? And we'll continue to be that in our little community, and the rest of the world will not know the joy and the grace of people living and working together and respecting each other. I'm not going to speak to the larger issue, DEI. I'll say we should live in a world where we don't need anything but decency and respect. And I feel that at this place, or I wouldn't be here. Richard Wright, and those of you from out of state, you should know that Mississippi has produced extraordinary authors, and Richard Wright is one of the best from Natchez. Richard Wright said that history comes on us, and it surges up, and it's fused and tangled. And so I acknowledge that this history, the imagery, is fused and tangled in people's identities. And sometimes we can't unknot it, we can't untangle it. But here is one of the best places to start to pick at that knot and to acknowledge that situation and to build off of it. So I've gone a little further than your question. I thank you for your question. But I have faith that our students will model the better angels that we all should have. Not that I'm aware of.
Reed's family has retained a lawyer, and they said they want to launch their own independent investigation. Would you be willing to cooperate with that?
Delta State will cooperate with any investigation related to this incident, but I reiterate that our duty is to engage with the next of kin when it comes to who I speak to and what information I give and what questions I answer. They are the individuals that Trey chose as his emergency contacts and next of kin. They can decide if they want to be public. I will not make them public because that's their choice and their privacy.
I have a question for Chief Martin Staunton again, Fox 13 Memphis. So if the autopsy is underway, it sounded like as we speak, when will that body be available for the independent autopsy that the family announced that they're asking for? That announcement coming yesterday.
Again, as soon as we receive we expect in the next 24 to 48 hours, we'll have the results. I'm not sure at this time when that will be available to the family or the public at this time. I don't have that information.
Will that be the preliminary? Will that be, you said that would be the
Preliminary, yes.
How long will it take to get to the definitive result?
I don't have that information.
We know the body was found Monday morning. Do we know when it took place? Was it sometime Sunday?
That's still being investigated right now.
I have one more question for the president. Sir, I'm sorry I didn't catch your name.
My name is Dan Ennis, E-N-N-I-S.
Thank you.
It rhymes with tennis, not other words.
Thank you. I can feel your emotion. How are the other students handling it? What counseling services are being given to the rest of the student body here, or especially among the friends of Trey?
I want to give credit and thanks to our entire student support services. That includes our student affairs, our counselors, our coaches, our faculty. Basically, any person on this campus who works at Delta State has opened themselves up to students formally and officially and professionally through our counseling services center. And our counselors, of course, were on duty. They're always on duty, but they've been on extra duty. But then, of course, some students reach out to their coach, or they reach out to a professor. And we have had frequent communication about being sensitive and directing students to professional help. And I think that's one of the things that we will never, ever get perfect, but universities always try to be more perfect at, which is connecting students with counseling and professional help when they need it. And we know, I'm talking in general terms about college students now, I'm not speaking to this case, we know that students walk around with invisible burdens. And when they even become a bit visible, we have to give them someone to talk to. I also want to thank our colleagues at other Mississippi universities. We have been offered and have accepted help of additional counseling services, other counselors from other universities, and the Cleveland City School District They, of course, have counselors as well, and the superintendent immediately contacted me and offered those services. I'm confident we have sufficient counselors. I was in the student health office yesterday, spoke to the counselors, and while they have been steady and busy, they have not been overwhelmed. But we also know that this is not just this week, that some of the students, all the students, will need support for weeks and months to come, and we're determined to keep giving them that support.
Chief, friends of Trey's been interviewed or talked to?
Again, that's a part of the investigation, and it's ongoing.
Chief Beeler, can you tell us, you said you laid eyes, talked about you laid eyes on the young man after his body was found. Is there evidence to see something next to the tree to indicate that he put himself up in the tree?
Again, that's an ongoing investigation. I can't, I don't have that information, nor can I share that at this point.
You don't have it, you on the scene, right? So you were the scene.
Again, it's an ongoing investigation, and I can't answer that question at this time. Again, that's all a part of the investigation, all right? And as far as disclosing names and things of that nature, I'm sorry.
We'll have one more question.
We were told that this would be a thorough investigation. Is there a date on it?
They are here.
Are they speaking?
They are here. Yes, to answer your question, they are here.
We were told it would be at the news conference.
They are here in this room, yes.
Are they not speaking?
No, not at this point. They don't have an official statement at this point.
And so we don't know how Mr. Reed could have gotten up in the tree at this time?
Again, ongoing investigation.
Thank you for coming. Thank you.
Full of crap. That man said you was there. You don't know if it was something that he stood on to get himself in the tree. Like, come on, he climbed the tree. I'm gonna share a screen again. Give me a minute here. Family of Trey Reed, 21, found hanging from a tree at Delta State University, calls for an independent investigation into his death. Reed's death has stirred anger online, evoking the state's long history of racial violence. The death of a Black student found hanging from a tree on a Mississippi college campus this week has left a family demanding answers and civil rights leaders calling for a transparent investigation. According to officials at Delta State University, the body of Trey Reed, 21, was discovered around 7 a.m. on Monday by a faculty member near the pickleball courts on its Cleveland Miss campus. Classes were canceled on Monday. In a statement issued Monday morning, Delta State University Police Chief Michael Pillar said that there was no evidence of foul play and no ongoing threat to campus safety. Pillar said that multiple state and local law enforcement agencies, including Mississippi Bureau of Investigation, were assisting the school in this investigation. Hold on one second, guys. Okay. Oh, sorry. Hold on. Okay. Why, Kelly? Let me see. Let me try to add you to the stage. Hold on. All right. Hopefully you're staying there. In a separate statement, County Coroner Randolph Sills Jr. said his office conducted a preliminary examination and concluded that Reed did not suffer any lacerations, contusions, compound fractures, broken bones, or injuries consistent with an assault. There is no evidence to suggest the individual was physically attacked before his death. Sills said, adding that Reed's body will undergo a full autopsy. Further information will be provided when the results of the autopsy are finalized. Sills asked the community to remain patient with the coroner's office and other investigating agencies as we work to gather all of the pertinent facts surrounding the investigation. Pillar said Wednesday that Reed's body had been transported to Mississippi State Medical Examiner's Office, where the chief medical examiner had begun conducting the autopsy. Preliminary results are expected within 24 to 48 hours, the chief said. The president said we can never fully heal this wound. In a video message posted online Tuesday, Delta State University President Dan Enos said the school was resuming operations while continuing to mourn the loss of Reed, and that officials remain in close contact with his family. We give them our love and support, Enid said, and we know we can never fully heal this wound. None of us will fully heal. Enid said that the school is fully cooperating with investigators and asked the public for patience. He added, we will never release any information or make any statement that compromises the ability of authorities to get an answer that is true, that is real, and that if not satisfying, at least helps us understand a little bit better what occurred. At the press conference on Wednesday, Enos acknowledged that the matter in which Trey was discovered has stirred many emotions in this community. While the preliminary report of the coroner's office indicates no evidence of foul play, we recognize that this is not only about facts, Enos said, it's about emotions and it's about feelings. Enos says the campus has received multiple threats since Reed's death, which are being investigated, but Pillar said there are currently no active threats to the campus. We are simultaneously grieving. We are simultaneously processing. And I think every minute about Trey, Enos said. But I have to also think about my 2,800 other students and protect them as well. Reed family says it's conducting its own investigations. At a news conference Tuesday in Grenada, Miss, Vanessa J. Jones, an attorney for Reed's family, said that her firm is initiating an independent investigation into his death. We will seek answers independently from Delta State University and from the coroner's office, and if need be, independent from the state coroner's office, because we need answers, Jones said. Where there are cameras? There should have been cameras at the university that could easily enlighten us to what happened. Civil rights attorney Ben Crump said he has been retained by Reed's family to pursue a thorough and transparent investigation into his death. Trey Reed was a young man full of promise and warmth, deeply loved and respected by all who knew him, Crump said in a statement. His family and the campus community deserve a full, independent investigation to uncover the truth about what happened. We cannot accept vague conclusions when so many questions remain. Mississippi Congressman calls for federal probe. U.S. Rep. Benny Thompson, a Democrat from Mississippi, called on the FBI to launch a federal investigation into Reed's death. We must leave no stone unturned in the search for answers, Thompson said in a press release. While the details of this case are still emerging, we cannot ignore Mississippi's painful history of lynching and racial violence against African Americans. Delta State University is located near several historic sites associated with the 1955 lynching of 14-year-old Emmett Till. This is not sitting well with anyone. According to the university officials, about 2,800 students are enrolled at the school. 42% of them are Black. I would say these 42% need to leave and leave today. Separate hanging death in Mississippi. Official in Vicksburg, Mississippi, said that the body of Corey, I don't want to mess up his last name, a 36-year-old white male was found hanging in a wooded area on Monday afternoon. According to the Clarion Ledger, Corey reportedly homeless and living near a casino in the area. His body was sent to Mississippi State Crime Lab for an autopsy. Vicksburg police said that an investigation is ongoing, but they believe the case is unrelated to Reed's death. This is beyond sad. Something is amiss. I'm not feeling the university president. I'm only going to play a piece of his little speech here.
Hello, I'm Dan Ennis, president of Delta State University. Today on campus, we continue to grieve the loss of our student, Trey Reed. While we go about our business, going to classes, interacting with each other, we're holding each other close. We're trying to remain a community, and we're trying to support each other. A college campus is a special place. We gather people to learn, and sometimes our students are vulnerable. But today, the campus is safe, the campus is active, the campus is alive, and we are going back to learning even as we grieve. And what we want to communicate to the community is that we know that as a university, we're given a trust. People come here to learn, they come here to be safe, and they come here to thrive. And one of our students is gone, and we will never forget that. We continue to meet with and be in contact with Trey's family. We give them our love and support, and we know that we can never fully heal this wound. None of us will fully heal. But we have to go on, and so we're going on this campus as best we can. We ask for your continued prayers. We ask for your support. We ask for your patience. In the middle of all this, yes, we continue to cooperate with investigators. We continue to make sure that all the information necessary is given to authorities, and we continue to hope for answers. We're aware of the recent coroner report, and we're aware of other developments in the investigation, as is the family. As you might imagine, we can only release information that's appropriate, and we will never release any information or make any statement that compromises the ability of authorities to get to an answer that is true, that is real, and that, if not satisfying, at least helps us understand a little bit better what occurred. So thank you, everyone who has reached out, everyone who has supported our students, everyone who has come to campus or from afar prayed and hoped that things will be better today. And things are a little better today, and hopefully they'll be a little better tomorrow. They will never be right in terms of our loss of student. They'll never be exactly as they were. But we're going to keep trying. Thank you.
Trey is gone. You're going to keep trying. Wayne, your thoughts?
My thing is, why did he put right in the beginning, unless I missed something, why was there so much emphasis on the name of the people he left as the next, the contact, and never said nothing? And then when the chief speaks, he alludes and says something that the grandparents or something. But why was there just so much information? I mean, he just dwelled on it. We're not going to release information to people, the names that he gave us, and when we sign these forms and you say this person, I must have missed something. The other thing, this is the most unheartfelt press conference I ever heard. The chief sounded like he was standing up saying it because he got to say it, and it's in the manual. Those don't sound like heartfelt words that come from your heart when I'm not saying he wasn't heartfelt about this person, passing away, but it just sounded like he was standing up there saying what he got to say to keep his job. This is what you say. And with all the pow violence that's taken out students in schools, and then Ennis, I think it was his name, he's going to stand up and say, well, we had some pow threats and everything, but we hope they aren't serious. I mean, with just the mere fact of thinking that could happen, and then you get a threat. And then they want to go, when they talked about the way they found him, and they said there's going to be an autopsy. Well, how do you come to a conclusion? If you're going to do an autopsy, Mississippi, the coroner or wherever was going to do a full autopsy. Well, how do you come to the conclusion that how this man, what happened? There was no, like it was self-inflicted. I think if Ennis had talked a little bit longer, you'd have got the realness out of him, because that southern drawl was about to come out. And he stood there, was talking about the DEI. He says, talking about the programs. And then he kind of said, well, we hope we can have a place where we don't have to have those. And this man is full of what. They all trying to cover their what. And this is going to be like the fox watching the hen house. I don't think you ever going to get the truth. That's it.
Well, I agree with you, Wayne. Yes, Savannah, cold as ice. And Special K, I understand. So Special K is saying that school doesn't want to be found liable for his unaliving. But, I don't know if you heard when somebody asked the chief of police, well, was a ladder there? Was a chair there? Because how did he get up in that tree to do this to himself? And he talking about he don't know. But they said, didn't you say you saw the body yourself and you was one of the first people on the scene? And so the reason why he was dancing around who was notified is because I want to say that some of the family members, I couldn't really figure out who. I was like listening to different things. And I know the grandfather spoke in one of the videos I watched, but they try to say that they wasn't notified immediately. So they're trying to justify that by saying that they went to the paperwork and whoever Trey put on the paperwork as next of kin or notified, that's who they call. That's why they're dancing around that. This whole thing is a stinking hot mess that 42% needs to leave that school. Julius, your thoughts?
See, I'm glad I'm on the panel tonight because I'm a current college student. Let me speak to you about the anxiety, the fear, and the unknown. We feel it. We didn't have anything to do with the circus that happened in Utah.
I don't want to talk about that. Not on here.
Okay, my bad. But we didn't have anything to do with people going crazy. Threats have been made. Targets mainly the South. HBU. I'm telling everybody this here now. The anxiety that now I go to the good old community college. But if you think we are not on alert, we are on alert. Because at this rate, Pandora box has been opened. A lynching of this magnitude has not been heard from in almost 70 years. So yeah, are we trying to rally our resources? Are we trying to figure out what's the best place to navigate? Yeah, we are. Because we just don't know what's going to happen. We have to let it happen because it's no choice of our own. And it's fear we didn't ask for. Because end results like this happen. This young man still should have been here. Oh, but yet, you want to talk about all these support programs. But then also we don't have to do with those. Isn't that what that school president said in the video? After the school comes together and stuff like that? It's a cover up. It's a cover up. This is Mississippi. The king state of lynching. The highest record of lynchings. They covering up. Because a certain kind was responsible. That's it.
Thank you. Callie, your thoughts?
This being Mississippi, I'm automatically suspicious that it was foul play because let's just be real. We know how Mississippi is. It's not only has a history of racism, it has a history of corruption. Is it impossible that someone would unalive themselves in this way if they were just extremely depressed? It's not impossible, but it's strange. And also, as everyone else is saying, he would have had to, I haven't even seen the tree to know what type of tree this is, but assuming that this is like a big oak tree or something, he would have had to have climbed that tree because there was no chair or anything to be propped up on. It just seems like this is such a convoluted way that if you were very depressed and going to unfortunately do this to yourself, that you would pick this way. It just seems so unlikely. I just want to know what exactly did happen, because let's say offhand chance it's found that he was just did this because he was depressed. Well, then we also have some mental health issues that we need to learn how to deal with as a country as well, that I feel that we have no idea what to do with people that have mental health issues. But if he has no history of depression and he had also been receiving threats, which I've been hearing so many things about this story, I don't know what's true and what's not. So I was trying to research it myself, but I really haven't had time. But if he was also receiving threats, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to, figure that it's a possibility that someone did something to him, and now all of a sudden the camera ain't working, or they can't get the tape, or whatever it is that they're talking about. I mean, I understand these are adults, but this is a place where people are paying money to be, and they definitely should feel safe, and those cameras should be working. So all of this stuff is this very, I mean, it really is sounding like what it sounds like to most other people. And I think that we have gotten to a place where we take racism, especially against Black people, to sort of be a prank and a joke. I've heard other cases, even in some of these big corporations like Tesla, for example, of people brandishing ropes that are tied in a certain way as a joke and things like that, and using the N-word, and people go, oh, that isn't a big deal. No, those things are an actual threat. And someone who is behaving in that way could decide to harm someone. But I think in 2025, we have almost minimized those things as though, oh, that doesn't happen anymore. When let's just be real, we've been for years hearing these mysterious stories about these hangings. And we've always wondered, did that person really unalive themselves? That's a little, and they're always, this is, I've heard several of these stories where there's no chair, there's no note, the person's just found hanging. I really hope that if it is foul play, that this time we can get some answers and find out who did it. And that this doesn't just go into the ether like all of these other stories. Because I've been hearing these stories for years. No one is ever arrested. They always say the person unalived themselves, again, with no note or cheer or anything. I almost feel like these hangings have never stopped, but the news just stopped reporting them as such. Because they were only reporting them as such in the 1960s to get people to react in a certain way, to sort of like control people. And when they got the reaction that they wanted and that movement was over, it's like, okay, we're just going to stop reporting these things and pretend like they've stopped happening and like we've made all this progress. But as we saw earlier this year, the minute that somebody felt like it was okay, they laid off 300,000 Black women. So I really don't think that we've really made the progress that we thought we did. I think that we were just made to believe this by the media. I don't know what to say. This is horrible. I wish I could say I was shocked, but I grew up right across the way from Mississippi. And Mississippi is known, people don't even drive through Mississippi at night, even in 2025. Mississippi is known to be a place where things like this can happen. There are places that have signs on trees that have dolls and things hanging from trees to scare Black people from coming into these areas. They still have sundown towns in Mississippi. But I do think that if these students really feel that this was foul play, I do think that they're nearly half of the student body, and these students in these families should withdraw their tuition. It's the beginning of the semester. They will probably all be refunded, and I think that that's one way to handle this.
Yeah, I wouldn't. If my kid was there, I wouldn't care about a refund. There's one person, I think it was Country Wayne. He was on Shannon Sharp. He said, I could always make more money, but I can't get back no time. Time is time. I can always make more money, You can keep the money, you can give me back the money, but my kid is out, deuces. Because I'm not going to wait till my kid is the next one mysteriously in the tree and y'all don't want to have no answers. And what they said is they're slick with their words. What they said was he had no injuries that related to foul play. They didn't say he didn't have no injuries at all.
Oh, you're right.
Full of crap. And like that man said, was there a chair there? A ladder, a step stool, a brick that showed that he stepped up. He just knew how to climb up a tree and do this. Y'all got to miss me with the nonsense. 48 your thoughts. 42% need to leave that school today. Go ahead, 48.
It's really sad. Rest in peace, Trey Reed, and all the others that we don't know about. Diva, I'm just ready for the revolution to be televised. We should have took them out during the Civil War. I don't understand why the Union just didn't line them all up on a fence and just let loose 50 caliber magazines on their ass. I just really don't. You were against the country from the beginning when the country was trying to go another way. This man was totally disrespectful to me, and then for him to always try to bring in and say, with Trey's family in mind and keeping his family in your prayers. No, what I think is that they seen who was on the camera, but it was some kind of white child that, shouldn't be on the camera. I ain't never go to no college campus where any of the cameras don't work. Like, cameras are everywhere on a college campus, on the in the by the dorms, by the library, on the street, like the lights and stuff where they have they signs. Like, I don't understand why they can't get the footage of how this young man got up in that tree. And then they want to talk about credible sources. So it was credible for you to walk up and see him hanging from a tree, definitely 12 feet above so you want, that's credible that he just got up there, flung the rope over there, put it around his neck, tied it up, and just hung there and broke his legs. How you break his legs? It's people there saying the man, when they seen that boy in that tree, he was beat up. That's what the people say. Not only do those people need to leave, the kids need to leave the school. Lord, like, I don't condone violence, but I'm tired of violence being put among my people. For real, on some real, this is how people become what they call it, the word is slipping, radicalized. Because you're putting it in our face that you don't give a damn about us. And I got all boys. I would lose my top. I'm telling you, every person there would be in harm's way. You need to send a bulletin out that I'm coming, and that you and your kids need to get off the campus, because this makes no sense to me. People out there don't only need to leave, they need to rise up. Like old Nat Turner in that way. And you can, figure it out what I'm saying. I'm sick of it, Diva.
I'm over it too. Katrina, your thoughts?
Okay, here we go. My thoughts are the police, the president of the school. You're not thinking about what these kids walked out and seen. You're thinking about protecting your dollars from the student loans and the Pell Grants and to get students in class, because you said the class is still going on. For one thing, the classes shouldn't be going on, especially with something like that happen on the campus and everybody is already in an uproar about other stuff that's happening. And then another thing, as 48 said, I heard that both his legs was broken and his face was beaten. So you mean to tell me a person with broke legs can climb a tree? That's one magical. That is a magical trick I need to see. Because if you got broke legs, how you climbing a tree? And I think they unalive that white person because so they won't think that it was a black related crime. Like this boy did it to himself. I think that's why they did it to the homeless person. Because there's so people would say I don't they're not doing that because they hung a homeless person too. No. That was the cover up. And the thing of it, when they find out who these people did or who did this to him, we don't need no Medgar Evers or no Emmett Till, because this man, the guy that killed unalive Medgar Evers, didn't go into prison to 80. So basically, he lived his life on the outside, and once he turned 80, they want to give him life in prison. He already had life, and you got the ones that got rid of Emmett Till, the family members and all that. They lived, even though her sons and stuff unalive some type of way because of what they did to this young black guy. They had nothing to do with this woman lying on him. So we don't want no court justice like that. We want the court justice to handle it as they're supposed to, and not wait no 80 years or no 40 years to get some resolution, because these people want to carry out these devious things, listening to other people. I mean, come on, be for real. Like I said, this boy had to be walking probably by himself. They caught him off guard. Ain't no telling what happened. And for him to be hanging in a tree, this is ridiculous on all levels. And for that for that darn president and that little whatever the little man is, well, we had to get in contact with the person he had on his paperwork. My God, this boy is in college, so he's not putting his mom and dad on the paperwork? That'd be the first person I put on my paperwork if anything happened to me, because most of the time they say your next of kin or who you want to know what's going on with you. And a child wouldn't put their mom, dad, grandparents, or somebody else on there. He's sitting up there telling that Peabody looking tail lie. I'm not falling for this. I'm not going for this. They did this to this child, and they did the other one so there can be a cover up. Ain't nobody no fool. Anybody with eyes can see what they got going on. And it's just ridiculous. The whole school, like you said, every black person and some of the white ones in there need to leave that school, because y'all allowed this to happen on this campus and you're not doing anything. You might be the investigation still going. What you having a press conference for? You're not coming out telling us anything. It's still ongoing. We don't need to hear that. We need to know what's going on now. These people are ridiculous. And like I said, I hope whatever happened, whatever they find, they take care of justice right then and there and not wait until no 40 and 80 years. Do him the same way he did that boy. That's all I got.
I'm going to stay connected to this story. They're being very vague. They're being very bogus. I'm glad the family is going to do their own investigation because they're full of crap. But I will say to this 42% in this college, just like we shut down Target, y'all need to leave that school. Why would you want to be looking into your left, to your right, behind your back the whole time and you trying to study? I'm out. To the parents out there helping to pay for their kid to be in that school, take them out. There's plenty of schools that we can spend our money at. It's a no for me. Let me roll. Yes.
For any young person, whoever had to be sit down and had to talk about what to do in a law enforcement situation, and also had to talk about your identity. Pay close attention right now, because we are back in the time of Emmett Till. We just in 2025. Things have gotten worse, not better. That's it.
All right, let me share a screen and go right into this next story. This next story, a 95-year-old, and I want to know what's going on in this nursing home. Charged with unaliving the roommate, and nobody heard the screams, nobody heard nothing. How does this happen?
Now to an unthinkable crime in Coney Island. A 95-year-old woman now being charged with murder for the fatal beating of her elderly roommate.
So disturbing. Fox 5's Sharon Crowley is live in Coney Island with more on the investigation. Sharon?
Yeah, we're getting some new information from the criminal complaint about exactly how this crime took place. We are live right now in Coney Island. We're outside the Seagate Rehabilitation and Nursing Center in Coney Island. And as you said, police have charged a 95-year-old woman with murdering her 89-year-old roommate, both of them were in this facility when it happened. Now, this happened as Sunday on a third floor room of this residential facility. Now, according to the criminal complaint that was filed by the Brooklyn DA, a nurse telling police that she checked on the 89-year-old victim, Nina Kravtsov, and she said that she was asleep. And then an hour later, the nurse returned to the room only to find her covered in blood and her roommate, the defendant, 95-year-old Galina Smirnova, washing blood off of her clothing in the bathroom. Now, the criminal complaint reads in part that the victim, Nina Kravtsov, was lying in her bed, non-responsive, covered in blood with a gash mark about her face. And further, the witness saying that the defendant was in the bathroom that is inside the patient room and observed that the defendant's hospital gown was bloody and the defendant had blood on her legs, and the defendant was also washing her hands in the bathroom sink. I spoke with families who have relatives in this care facility a short time ago. You can imagine they were shocked.
I was terrified. I didn't know what to think, actually. And it's like the first thing I did was call to make sure my mom was okay and that nobody else got hurt. And then I came to visit her today.
I heard about accident. That's it. That somebody killed somebody.
What did you think?
It's terrible. Terrible.
When I came to see my wife at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 2:30, she explained to me like what happened. I said to she, yeah, I see everything in the news.
And court documents showing that investigators may be looking at the pedals of the wheelchair as a possible murder weapon. They were covered in blood, according to the criminal complaint. And one of those pedals was seen. It was thrown out the third floor window and later found and confiscated by police. So the defendant in this case has been moved to Bellevue and will be back in court later this month. For now, I'm Sharon Crowley in Coney Island. I will send it back to you in the studio.
Yeah, really gruesome details. All right, Sharon, thank you so much.
Grandma was a whole menace to society. She was in there washing her hands. She threw the murder weapon out the window. This is a mess, but I don't understand how nobody heard no screams. So, woman 95 charged with murder after allegedly beating a nursing home roommate to death. Galina, 95, is charged with second-degree murder and fourth-degree criminal possession of a weapon in connection with the death of 89-year-old Nina. Nina, may you rest in peace. A 95-year-old woman has been charged with murder after she allegedly beat her 89-year-old roommate to death in a nursing home in Brooklyn. Galina was arrested Tuesday, September 16, in connection with the death of 89-year-old Nina. She was arraigned Wednesday, September 17, and remanded into custody. She is charged with second-degree murder and fourth-degree criminal possession of a weapon. According to a criminal complaint obtained by People, police were called to Seagate Rehabilitation and Nursing Center in Coney Island at around 10:30 p.m. on September 14th. Witnesses allegedly told police they found, what's her name? They found Galina, right? Because I don't want to mess up her last name, was in the bathroom wearing a bloody hospital gown. She allegedly had blood on her legs, and the defendant was washing her hands in the bathroom sink. Officers found a wheelchair inside the room that had the footrest and legs removed. One of the foot pedals was on the floor, covered in blood, per the criminal complaint. The other foot pedal was outside the room underneath a window. Nina was taken to NYU Hospital in Brooklyn, where she was pronounced dead. Authorities determined that Nina died from blunt force trauma. The Brooklyn District Attorney's Office had asked for a mental health evaluation of Galina, which her lawyer opposed. The judge overseeing the case did not order an evaluation. The DA's office tells People. Galina's lawyer could not be reached for a comment. She's due back in court on Friday, according to jail records, which did not indicate where she is being held. This is a hot, stinking mess, but I don't understand how the nursing home heard not one scream. Wayne, your thoughts?
Now, this ain't going to be about this 95-year-old woman. Ain't nothing they can do to her but try to find out why she did it. What needs to be happening for some charges is not her, is that facility.
You better talk.
she already in a facility. I mean, I'm sure she ain't walking out the front door, walking up and down the street. So think about it. I'm not saying it's right, but what can they do to this woman but put her in another place with maybe limited access to things? But she's 95 years old. Well, you think she's gonna live to 195 years old? You know, you can't concentrate on her. They need to concentrate on why it happened. I'm sure these people in these homes, these nursing homes, they got to know something about them, their mental capabilities. They got to have records on them, because this woman could have dementia. And these people with dementia, they get strength out of nowhere, and they like to fight. So what are you going to do to it? Now, to me, this is a nothing burger. Ain't nothing going to happen. They need to be going after the people who run these facilities, because somebody should have known. You should have cameras or something. This woman who passed away, family has to have some kind of answers, not just a 95-year-old woman did this to her. It's why and how and who's responsible. Now cough up the bucks. That's it.
Flip the script, said grandma done this before. Oh my, Julius.
Anita was like, oh, let me reintroduce myself, because 95. I'm really speechless. The people who run that facility, they need to be cleaned up. And I hope to the late Miss Nina, may she rest in heavenly peace. Heavenly peace. However, to her descendants, y'all better get y'all pit bull, gangster, legal representation and take that facility through the ringer. But I do have to say, and I have to concur and agree with Mr. Wayne, she is 95. She won't be here for long. That's unfortunate. No, it's just the fact. She won't be here for long. That's it.
Callie, your thoughts?
Well, I doubt if this woman will live or even be found competent to stand trial. I agree. This lady probably has dementia. I'm not sure if they knew that this woman had this issue when they put her in the room with another patient. Yes, on paper, it sounds like, yes, the facility should be responsible, but can someone from the facility watch them 24/7? If you have someone who becomes violent, how could you really prevent something like this from happening if you have other patients in there that can't defend themselves? Unless there was something that was known, like this woman had been violent before, and you put her in the room with someone else. But if this was not a known issue, how could they have prevented this? Like, who would have thought that, oh, I leave the room for a minute and she's gonna bludgeon this lady to death, to unalive? I mean, this is sad. I don't know what could have been done to prevent this. Like I said, unless this is a case where they knew that this was already a possibility of this happening and they still were negligent. But if this isn't a case where this person had done anything like this before, why would they think this would happen? So this is just one of these crazy, unfortunate cases. I think that if you have the money to keep the person at home or for them to stay in their own home with care and family supervision, that's probably the best route, because there's some horrible things that happen to people in these places. It's usually the staff, it's not usually the patients. But these places are notoriously unsafe for elderly people. And I do know that most people don't have the finances to take care of an elderly person that needs like that next level of care that you can't give yourself. But if you do happen to have somebody that does have money, don't just throw them in a home. Try to find someone to help them out so they can stay in their home, and then you watch the person that's helping them out, because these places are notoriously unsafe. Yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah, it's a hard situation though, right? Because even if you have the money, getting somebody, you're not guaranteed that the person you're gonna get, no matter how much you're gonna pay them, that they're gonna do right by your family member. And then you have caregiver burnout, because some of these people, they need 24 around the clock care, and you just get burned out trying to help them out. It's no perfect answer to this situation, but let me tell you about this facility. They're done, they're in trouble, and Nina's family should sue the pants off of them. First of all, I just don't understand, unless Nina was asleep when she hit her the first time, but the woman said just an hour before she saw Nina was fine. That's what one of the people that worked there said, right? And that's possible. Anything can happen between the 1 hour you saw and the next hour you didn't. I just don't understand how they heard no screams. They heard nothing. You should have techs, you should have nurses, and no, there's no way you can watch every resident 24/7, but you best believe you better have their medical file and their diagnosis before you put them in the room with my family member. They're there for a reason. Some of them, yes, they may be just there because they have nowhere else to go. They can't be home alone. They can't afford another type of facility. They have no family members. That's why they're there. But a lot of people, they end up in there because they have reasons to be there and they need help. Now, where did she drag? Whose wheelchair was it? Was this Nina's wheelchair that was in the room? Was it? I guess it wasn't her wheelchair. And it's funny. I'm a roll with, okay, maybe crazy, but she was smart enough to throw part of the murder weapon out the window. Part of it was found here, and then she was in the bathroom washing. I don't know. This 95. I'm with somebody in the chat. I think it was Raheem said, and we don't care. Lock her up. She need to get locked up to save her from damaging somebody else or herself. And maybe locked up in a psych ward in the room by herself. Yeah, grandma is straight up gangster. Yeah, the wheelchair legs and the pedals. She gangster. And we need to keep everybody else safe. 48.
Totally agree, Diva. But also, I think that this will be a good time, now that the government is working on allocating funds to keep our government open. Maybe they should start making cameras like something mandatory in those facilities when they receive federal funds. And look at that. You just created a new job. You can hire a couple of people. That's all they do is sit down and watch those cameras and notify a nurse if they see something going on in the room, notify security if they see something going on in the room. That's just a solution. So, but for the old lady that assaulted and unalive this lady, I have no pity, no mercy for her. I'm gonna give her the same energy that I gave Emmett Till's lady that got Emmett Till unalived. Everybody, nobody wanted no mercy for her. She should have went to jail. She should have got the D penalty. And like you said, Diva, you had good enough sense to throw it out the window. Go wash your hands. They catch you in the midst of you cleaning up your crime. You crazy as hell. You crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But not too crazy that you can't take the punishment. 95 or 100. If you can't do the time, don't do the crime. I just hope that it's something that's really like awful. I don't want her to have no kind of like comforts or nothing. If she has arthritis, refuse. She gets one arthritis pill a day. I want her knee to hurt, her back to hurt, her neck to hurt. I want everything to hurt on her to the day she dies. if they don't have the D penalty. I mean, unalive. I'm sorry, Diva, unalive. But until if they don't have the D penalty, if they don't have it, no mercy.
This is nasty. Katrina, your thoughts?
Yeah, my thoughts are the nurse or the tech, whoever said she went by the room and they was sleeping. That was an hour, right? So
She didn't say that she went by the room they were sleeping. She said she went by the room and Nina was fine.
okay, Nina was fine. What time of day was this when they did this? You don't know?
It said in the article what time the cops came and everything. It really don't matter. They was in the facility. Carry on, Katrina.
Yeah, because I'm trying to figure out grandma down there at that wheelchair taking off legs. And most of the time when you take those wheelchair legs out, sometimes they hit the floor. And most most nursing homes, the windows will open, but they will open up a certain amount. Like they can't open up real wide because we have like patients that would try to fall out of them. You know what I'm saying? Or try to jump out of them. So they would have them set so they will only open up a certain amount. And I'm still like you. That lady was an invalid and she couldn't scream or she couldn't move or couldn't do anything because somebody, unless she hit her in the temple the right way and just knocked her out. This is sad on all. Okay, oh my God, this is so sad. 95, she down there digging at a wheelchair paddle. This is some weird stuff. Did she have a flashback? Did she do this to her husband or somebody? Allegedly, I'm just asking. For her to do all this stuff and then try to clean up the evidence. This is totally weird to me. I'm baffled. I mean, like I said, I'm baffled on this because did they say did she admit to it or anything or she just didn't say? This is a weird tale story. This is so weird. Like weird. And most of the time when these people go into the nursing homes, if they got any type of property, money whatsoever, it has to be out of their names so they could get Medicaid or for the facility to help them. I we just got to see what happened with this one because I got so many questions, but I can't say it to you on the scene. But we just need to know what's gonna happen. She in jail, and like Wayne and everybody said, they probably gonna put her in like a mental institution or whatsoever. But why? When Medgar Evers unalive her, he was 80, and they put him in prison. So if she did the crime, she got to do the time. Sorry, Granny, but that's all I got.
Yeah, and her lawyer didn't want a competency test. I wonder why, because I think she's sane as I don't know what. And she busted that woman up for whatever reason she busted her up. And so now she need to go down. Listen, I'm going to roll into this last story because we got a long show today. So this David, this entertainer, and this young girl. First of all, he's 20. When she went missing, she was 13. They got pictures of him and her. All roads are leading back to him. And he cooperating with the cops. They said he made a song called Romantic Homicide. And he allegedly made a song with her name in it. Let me just share this first. So he cancels his upcoming show amidst photos surfacing of him and a 15-year-old girl whose body was found in his Tesla. That's him. That's her right there. She lost her life. What is the obsession with these men and these young girls? I don't know. She had a tattoo that just shh. So did he. Hold on, let me show some more stuff. 1 second. I think I went to, I clicked out one of the other things. I'll go back to it. I'll find it in a minute, but I'll go to some other stuff I had. I clicked out on one of the wrong things, but it's okay.
Details falling into place about Breaking news and new details falling into place about a disturbing mystery in Hollywood with ties to a popular singer.
The medical examiner has identified the teenage girl who was found dead in the trunk of a Tesla at a tow yard. Eyewitness News reporter Sophie Flay is live in Hollywood with this morning's developments. Sophie.
Philip, that Tesla was originally abandoned here in the Hollywood Hills at Doheny and Bluebird, and inside human remains were found. That has now been identified as 15-year-old Celeste Rivas, according to the LA County Medical Examiner. And now Riverside County Sheriffs are investigating if there's any connection to the human remains found inside of that Tesla and a young woman from Lake Elsinore who's been missing since 2024. They have the same name, but that has not yet been confirmed. But we have been reporting that that Tesla belongs to 20-year-old singer David, whose real name is David Anthony Burke. This all started when the abandoned car was taken to a tow yard in Hollywood, and the employees there said a foul smell was coming from the car. Police discovered decomposing human remains wrapped in a bag that we now know belongs to Rivas. Eyewitness News has learned that she was found wearing a tube top, black leggings, a yellow metal bracelet, and metal stud earrings. She also had a tattoo on her right index finger that said, "Shh." The singer, who has 33 million listeners on Spotify, has not made any public comments about the case, but he is on a world tour and has continued performing throughout this investigation. He's known for his songs Romantic Homicide and Here With Me. And now back out here live, the singer is scheduled to perform tonight in Seattle, and then he is scheduled to come to California and perform here in Los Angeles on Saturday. We are still working to confirm if that tour is being paused. Live in Hollywood, Sophie Flay, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
Something ain't right about this. Hold on one second. I think I'll show this one. I think it's a matter of time before they arrest him, and they may be waiting to get the footage from this Tesla. Tesla body, David, and victim have matching tattoos. So singer David has a tattoo on his finger with the letter "sh," and the young girl's body found in his Tesla has the same tattoo on her finger. As TMZ reported, the body has now been identified as a 15-year-old Celeste Rivas. Authorities said she had a tattoo on her right index finger with the letter "sh" on it. David's tattoo is also on his right index finger. That was a poster when they was trying to find her. May she rest in peace. TMZ spoke with Celeste's mother last week, and she told us about her daughter's tattoo, adding it was in red ink. The mom said Celeste had been missing for more than a year, but she was suspicious of the Tesla discovery because she said Celeste's boyfriend's name was David. TMZ contacted LAPD's Robbery Homicide Division and forwarded the contact information for Celeste's mom. And that was Rihanna that started like the whole, tattoo and thing. The tattoo is not unique. Rihanna popularized it when she put a tattoo.
We have a lot to get to today. We have been telling you about a body parts found in the trunk of a Tesla owned by the singer David. We now know who the victim is in this case, and there are a lot of twists and turns.
Yes, the victim, as it turns out, is a 15-year-old girl named Celeste Rivas. And Celeste Rivas had gone missing about a year ago. Now, how we got that information that she had gone missing came just days after police reported finding the body parts in this Tesla.
So we should say that this girl apparently had either run away or disappeared.
Yes.
Like you said, it was a year ago, April. So the police have identified her, but here's one of the twists. Last Wednesday, right after the car was found,
right,
we got a tip that this body may be that of Celeste's. We got in touch with Celeste's mother, and the mother told us, because what the police had come out with was that the girl had a tattoo on her right index finger that said S.
Even before they could find out her name, they obviously had the body parts and they released some information.
And it was on her index finger. It said SHHH with 3 dots or 4 dots. And And that's all we knew. The mother told us that my daughter had a tattoo on her right index finger that said the same thing. And that the tattoo, she told us, in fact, Anakin here, she only spoke Spanish, so Anakin spoke to her.
She did.
And she said that she had a boyfriend.
That's right, that she had a boyfriend and his name was David. And the mother never really got in contact with David, like she never saw him.
She didn't know who the David was.
She had heard of him. And it seemed like the last time that she had seen her daughter was when she had gone out with David.
So we called LAPD robbery homicide, and we gave them the information. We gave them the mother's phone number. We gave them her name, obviously, and also told the detective that she had told us about the tattoo. We added the fact that it was red, which they hadn't.
Right, so they hadn't said that. They had not released that information.
And the detective was, poker faced, or
that's what they have to do,
and just said, "Thank you very much," and that was it until today, when they now have identified the girl as the girl who is the girl of that woman.
Right, the daughter of that woman.
Right.
So there's another twist with that tattoo.
Yes.
A very interesting one in some photos that we found of David.
Correct.
Now, we should say that David has been on tour during all of this. He
hasn't canceled any of his shows.
Until
his one tonight.
Had not. Had been on a tour, and in fact, just last night performed in Seattle. And police had they have not named him a person of interest, not named him a suspect. They just know that the car belongs to him. Now, the photos that we found of David and a tattoo that he has is very, very interesting.
So we found photos from last September where he has on his pointer finger of his right hand
the same finger as hers.
The same exact finger, the exact same tattoo. It's in black, so it's not red ink, and I do want to be fair. Obviously, we're not insinuating anything here. The tattoo it was very popular, though.
It's a tattoo that Rihanna made popular in 2008.
2008.
And a bunch of
SHHH. Lindsay Lohan had
a bunch
one.
of celebrities.
Yeah.
A ton of people get it because you do this, so it makes sense why it would be on that finger. But it is interesting that he has the exact same tattoo.
The LAPD Homicide Division is investigating this case. They still have not said it's a murder.
Correct. Meaning that they don't know the cause of death. Obviously, yes, the body was dismembered and was, where the parts were in a bag that was in the Tesla, but they don't know what the cause of death is.
And we don't want to seem dumb to you guys that we're saying, people are saying, of course it's a murder. I mean, theoretically, it could be a body where somebody died and then they did it after the fact, which would not be murder. But we don't know.
The part that, why would you do that?
Right.
Right. If someone fell down the stairs and broke their neck in an accident, why would you dismember the body?
Right. So that's what we know right now.
Yes. And then, so the latest thing about David, as we said, police have not named him, but we do know that he canceled for the first time since all of this has been going on. He canceled a show. He had another one scheduled in Seattle tonight, but venues.
It was weird to me that he was kind of going off on this tour to begin with. Like if I'm traveling the country and there's a dead body found in a car I own, probably would want to get home and kind of try to figure out what exactly happened.
But we should also say the way this car was discovered, that it was parked up in the Hollywood Hills, and
left there for 3 days.
And if it's left for more than 3 days, it can be towed as an abandoned vehicle. And that's exactly what happened. It was towed to a police tow yard, and the staff there smelled something rank, opened the trunk, and discovered the body in a bag, body parts in a bag. Now, Teslas are very sophisticated cars.
Right.
And there have got to be pictures, you would think, because there are
the cameras all over it. And we know that the Tesla has a lot of information. There's data that police can get. They'd actually have to subpoena Tesla to get that information. As this investigation is rolling along, that's something that they are going to do if they haven't already.
You could at least see who dropped that car off.
Who was driving it, perhaps you might be able to see who put the body
body
parts
in the trunk.
into the trunk.
Also, I thought one thing that was really interesting is that the car was not reported missing. So presumably David knew who was maybe driving this car. Maybe he didn't know that his car was missing.
Well, not missing, but stolen. It was not stolen.
Reported stolen.
Right.
So you would imagine that he has some idea of who had this car last. And like you guys mentioned, it doesn't seem like he's spoken to police yet. You think he would really want to get in front of it. And I hope now that the family, maybe they have some closure of Celeste, now that they know exactly what happened to her, maybe they can somehow get more answers because they deserve that.
Yeah, and we don't know. The cooperation is an interesting issue. We can't tell you the level of cooperation.
Right.
And it's just a little bit murky, and we don't want to overstate what we know, but we have told you what we do know, and it seems like the police are on a trail where they may well be able to figure something out.
Yeah.
Patrick from Atlanta here. There are way too many questions to be asked with this story here now. One of the things is, how does a person that's been missing since April 2024 be found today, dismembered in the back of a truck? But now we know extra things like there's too close of a degree of separation from the victim and David here. They both have matching tattoos. So, of course, there's some kind of, connection there. What does it mean to be, cooperating with the cops? Like you said earlier, why would you still continue to go on tour when something big like this is happening? We really need answers. The family deserves these answers. There's way too many gaps in this story. And I think we're going to get there.
Yeah, I think the cops are on to something.
Yes.
There's this leaked song he made about a girl named Celeste. Something in the water's not clean. This is not right. What happened, Wayne?
My thing is, how you letting your 13-year-old daughter go out dating?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, don't you think that's a bit young? I think 15 is a bit young. And somebody put in the chat that he started dating her when she was 12. I'm like, what do you? She said she knew. She didn't meet the guy. She didn't meet him. But she knew that she knew she was going out. I mean, who lets their 13-year-old go out on a date? The person driving, so they're adult. If they're with somebody, the person, is an adult. And you have a child. I don't get it. I don't even know who the guy is. So I don't know if he's a big celebrity, but maybe it's like, he was giving her money and whatever, and the mother just pushed it. Go on, he got money. I don't know, but it just doesn't make sense. And all these similarities, things, I hope he got a good lawyer. Because they could be, if they know he's touring, they know where he's at. They could be doing the investigations and have all the information, a lot of information, but not just enough to incriminate him yet. So rather than, let the cat out the bag, let him continue to do what he's doing, and not let him think he might be under investigation. So that's, this is going to be interesting to find out. You have a car. Is he, like somebody said, he was maybe, because some people buy cars and rent them out. But still, if you're doing that and he's doing all this traveling, he got somebody handling that for him, So you got to know something, he's going to have to clear his name. That's what I'm saying. He has to clear his name, because right now all fingers are pointing to him.
He's toast.
Yeah, that's it.
He's toast. Yeah, thank you, SK. SK said there's a picture of him in her area paying off her friends to keep quiet, by the way. Yikes. He's toast. He's done. I think they're just collecting more evidence. I think the media has learned a little something from this Diddy trial. They thought they was going to pump all this stuff out about Diddy, and then he was going to be found guilty on everything. I think they're learning now, hold back on the information because the streets will investigate and do some things. I think they already know what they know, like they knew in that Emmanuel Horror case with the parents. They was letting them play their little game, and then when they had enough information, they went and arrested them. They said he's cooperating with the cops, but I think they already know what they know, and I think they're just trying to gather their pieces, and I think soon he's going to be cleaned up. We may wake up tomorrow morning and hear that he's under arrest. Because this is too much. Something don't sound right. You're making a song about a girl named Celeste and how you miss her. You have a song called Romantic Homicide. You got pictures with this girl. You got the same tattoo as this girl. The mother says she had a boyfriend named David. The math is mathing in this case. They just got to go pick them up. In my opinion, this is just a diva thought. Julius, your thoughts?
Diva, we are on the same train with this. A hush on the hand, and you know the hand is very sensitive to have a tattoo. But I could tell you, I say to the officers in the case, collect all the evidence you need. Let him think he's not a suspect, and then go in and snatch his tail up. I am with it. Because that's exactly what they did in the Hero case. I believe I messed up the last name. They let them do all the yapping. And then they started to say, well, what they're saying is not consistent. And then what happened after they said they wasn't consistent? They was clinked up. So it's only a matter of time. Justice will prevail. He think he got away with it. But he didn't. That's it. Choo choo beep beep.
And I hope she wasn't pregnant. 48, your thoughts?
Well, I heard that he was a pretty good artist. I just asked my kid about him. He heard of him. But just with everything that that the story has come out with so far, it's just hard to believe that he's not involved. You know, my kid was like, you know, Mom, I don't think he would do that. I was like, man, Diva's talking about it right now. Like the body parts in the car, like, you know, I really hope not. I hope not, because he was an influence to a lot of young people from what my kids showed me. So, you know, I hope not. But to young Celeste, rest in peace. But then the other thing is too, Diva, what's up with her mama? Like Wayne said, like, why is she like dating this older man? And like, if the police know that, then why haven't they already just arrested him off of that?
Well, you know what? When it comes to these moms, and the mom didn't speak English, right? And I'm not making excuses for the mom, but I feel like a lot of moms are not being the way I grew up. My mother said no, and you just had to go to your room and deal with it, period. But let's do this too. She had a tattoo. You letting your 11, 12-year-old get a tattoo? You knew she had a boyfriend named David. What the heck is going on here? She wasn't mothering. She was being her friend. And now, unfortunately, her daughter is no longer here. She wasn't mothering.
Yeah.
Yeah. My son came to me at a young age. And like I said, everybody, that don't mean he wasn't talking to her when he went to school, whatever. But he came to me during COVID talking about his girlfriend. I said, no, you don't got no girlfriend. You got a friend that might be a girl, but you don't got no girlfriend. This is not at this age. What are we doing? What are we doing? So, like I said, that don't mean that they wasn't calling each other boyfriend and girlfriend or whatever in school. But in my house, you could get out of here with, at your young age, talking about you got some girlfriend. It just don't make no sense to me. You can't navigate the waters of a relationship at such a young age, because guess what? Adults have trouble navigating relationships and breakups. So at 11, 10, 12, 15, whatever, you're going to be in a navigated relationship. You're not. I'm thinking something went left, and I'm thinking pregnancy was involved. And if it was, and she was 13 at the time, and however old he was, because he got to be a 5-year difference, right? If they're saying like she either was around 4, she would have been around 14, 15 now. So it got to be, that's a 5-year difference if he's 20. So where she went missing last year, she had to be 14. Either way, it's not good. But I'm feeling like she could have possibly said she was pregnant or she was pregnant. It just don't make sense that this girl is gone. It doesn't make sense. Callie, your thoughts?
Hi, I'm trying to navigate because I updated to iOS 26 and there's a bug with StreamYard. So I can't hear you guys anymore. So I have to use another device to hear you guys.
Oh.
But anyhow, I think that at first I thought maybe like a flunky of his might have done this, like an assistant or something. And maybe he was off on tour and whoever he left his car with was the one involved with this girl until all of this other information came out. This tour that they keep saying that he was on is not in Australia or Europe. He was in Chicago. He could have very easily have driven back from Chicago, did something to this girl and drove back to Chicago. Also, we don't know when she passed away. We don't know that she wasn't in a freezer for a week before he hatched this plan to leave her in a trunk. This doesn't seem like this was much of a plan, because if the car was stolen, first of all, I don't even know how can you steal a Tesla without the fob. All of this is weird. And then you expect me to believe that this car has been moved and towed and everything else, and you ignored all of those notifications. Because if my car is picked up by a tow truck, I get a notification. So I don't have a Tesla, but I have something similar. And it's hard for me to, Teslas have more tech than my car does. So if my car is moved, I get a notification if I am not the one who moved it, if it wasn't moved by someone with the fob. If it's picked up by a tow truck, I get a notification. How do you even move it or open the trunk? Why would you go on tour and leave your car parked on the street like that? Especially in the Hollywood Hills, knowing good and well it could be towed. Who would do that? Like, no one's going to be out of town for a long time and leave their car just parked on the street unless they entrusted it to someone. So up until maybe about an hour ago, I thought, well, it's possible that maybe whoever he left his car with, whether it be a sibling or an assistant, this is the person who did this. Now I'm thinking he did it, but he did it a while ago. And for whatever reason, he finally needed to get rid of the remains, or he was trying to transport the remains and he was not able to come back and move the car. That's kind of more what I think. Because you know, if you leave that car there and it gets towed, the car is in your name, you're going to get caught. So I'm wondering if it was some plot plan to take the remains somewhere that went afoul. I've been trying to dig into this guy a little bit. I hate to judge people by what they look like, but it gives me substances. His music is very, very dark. It's very dark alternative rock music. And I'm not just saying this because I don't like alternative rock music, because that's all I listened to when I was his age. But his music is very dark. He doesn't have a good voice. I was surprised he had this type of following. When I went to his screams, I was like, people are listening to this dark stuff like this? But somebody making dark music is probably thinking in a dark way. Now, the mom did report this girl missing. There is a missing poster from the Riverside Sheriff's Department, and she was last seen all the way out in Lake Elsinore, which is very, very far from Hollywood. It's in a whole other city. It's out in the, pretty much in the desert. It's way out in the Inland Empire, on the end of the Inland Empire. So I'm trying to figure out, if she lived in Lake Elsinore, how did she even meet this guy? Like, all of this is very strange. As far as the mom, we don't know when the mom knew what. because the mom reported her missing, that doesn't mean that the mom hadn't talked to her once or twice since she's been missing. Because this whole thing about the boyfriend being named David and all of this stuff and the tattoo, we don't know when these things happened. We don't know if these things took place after she went missing. So we actually don't know what that mom was doing before she went missing. We don't know if the mom knew about any of this stuff.
Well, let me say
She
this,
could have
though,
just
Callie.
went missing one day.
No.
We honestly don't know that. We just know
But
that
Callie,
she's been looking for this girl since April of last year, not this year. And she was 13 years old. Now they do have posted online, as you said, a picture of what appears to be a selfie of the two of them sitting in the same car together. So I don't know what's, look, it really does look like, is it possible that she died from substance, passed away from substances, and he panicked knowing that she was underage and shouldn't have been at his house and tried to get rid of her? It's very possible. So I don't know what that autopsy says. I'm sure we'll find out very soon because they found her last week. So I'm sure the autopsy has been done. We don't even know if they have all of her remains, to be perfectly honest. But again, no, the mom reported her. Someone reported her. There's a missing poster. So I don't know where the missing poster came from. I don't know who the person was that reported her missing. If the mom didn't, but somebody did. It's from the sheriff's office in Riverside. It's not even like a homemade missing person poster. No, I think that we got to understand some cultural differences. I went to a school that was very international. And I did have a couple of young women in college from other countries that have told me that it is normal for teenage girls to date grown men in some countries. We even have some states here where the age of consent for marriage is 14 or 15 here in the United States. So we also have to think about people's culture, and we also have to think about the fact that the mom may have not known anything about this until she went missing. This is horrible. I feel like I believe he did it. And if somebody helped him dismember her or put her in that car, they need to be locked up too. Because I have a feeling he did not do this by himself, that there's some flunky that's involved, one of his entourage. So, yeah, maybe that's why they're watching him, so they can get whoever helped him. But this is a really sad story. I wish this girl would have been found. This is crazy that this girl was missing and she's up here in Hollywood Hills living with some celebrity. This is insane. Yeah, he needs to never get out. He doesn't even need to get like 25 to life. He needs to be gone forever. Because this is just sick.
Yeah, it's sick. The mom knew about the tattoo. The mom knew she had a boyfriend named David. She was aware of some things. It's just sad. Katrina, your thoughts? I know, Savannah. Katrina, are you there? All right, we might have lost Katrina. Listen, I'm going to stay connected to this story, but I think by sometime tomorrow, what's tomorrow, Thursday? I think we're going to find out what we find out. I think it's not long before we find out something about him, being arrested. Because too many roads are leading to him. He made a song about Celeste. He has a song called Romantic Homicide. They got pictures of him and this girl together. And then all of a sudden, the mom said she had a boyfriend named David. And all of a sudden, she's found in a person that's car that's named David. She got the same tattoo as him. Something in the water ain't clean. And I think he's going to go down. Oh, Savannah, what are the new updates on the cheerleader? Oh my God, you got to tell me. I'll do that tomorrow. If the 95-year-old, we all said it, she needs to get locked up. Sorry, not sorry, because now my family member is gone at 85 because you lost your mind. Okay, you have a blessed day too. And then this Trey Reed, I'm going to stay connected to this story, but I'm telling you that 42%, they need to call Pastor Jamal Bryan down there. That 42%, and we need 42 well, it's more, that's going to be more than 42 people, but we need a whole bunch of celebrities that help this 42% go to another school, find another school, and pay off the school bill for them, because we need them out of that school. That president, he up there joking about his last name at a time like, and Trey Reed is gone. I appreciate you guys for being here. Y'all know the routine. If you didn't hit the like button on the way in, hit the like button on the way out. Good night and goodbye, everybody. Choo choo.
Choo choo choo.